What used to unite fans around a shared moment has become a reminder of how divided they've become. The galaxy far, far away doesn't feel like a dream anymore. It feels like homework. You can feel the burnout in every trailer, every teaser, every promise that this one will be different. But it never is. Each new show arrives with the same formula, the same tone, the same desert planet pretending to be something new. It's not a galaxy, it's a loop. It's not that Star Wars is bad, it's just tired. Too many cooks, too many meetings, too much nostalgia. It's like watching your favourite band play the same song for the 20th time. They're still good, but you can tell they're not feeling it anymore. And neither are we. Fans aren't angry, they're numb. They don't argue about canon or head counts anymore. They argue about why they can't feel that spark that once made Star Wars special. The magic isn't gone, it's buried under boardroom notes and algorithmic storytelling. But here's the thing, Star Wars isn't doomed, it's just lost. The heart that made it legendary is still there, waiting to be found again. But until the people behind it remember what made it matter in the first place, the galaxy's future will keep looking dimmer by the day. In this video, we're going to break down why the future of Star Wars feels uncertain, how the franchise lost its direction, and what needs to happen before the galaxy far, far away can shine again. Once upon a time, Star Wars wasn't just a franchise, it was an event. When The Phantom Menace hit theatres, people camped out for days just to get a glimpse of what George Lucas had dreamed up. Even the sequels, for all their controversy, carried a sense of importance. But somewhere along the way, that sense of occasion vanished. Now a new Star Wars release feels less like an experience and more like a corporate checkbox being ticked every few months. The overproduction problem hit faster than anyone expected. Disney Plus turned Star Wars into an assembly line of content, each show trying to recapture the lightning that The Mandalorian bottled back in 2019. But instead of that spark, we got fatigue. We got filler episodes, recycled plots, and the same desert planets dressed up with slightly different names. The galaxy started to feel smaller, not bigger. And when Star Wars stops feeling big, something's gone horribly wrong. The irony is that the galaxy has never been richer in lore. The Old Republic, the Unknown Regions, the High Republic, all these eras could have been mined for incredible stories. But instead, Disney keeps circling the same familiar faces, afraid to let go of the Skywalker orbit. Even projects that promise something new, like Andor, end up becoming rare exceptions instead of the new rule. Star Wars has infinite galaxies and infinite potential, yet somehow it keeps shrinking into nostalgia. That's the thing about nostalgia, it's comforting, but it's a trap. It gives fans what they think they want, while slowly eroding what made them fall in love in the first place. When every new story is a callback, it stops being a universe and starts being a museum. Star Wars was built on imagination, on pushing boundaries, on showing audiences things they'd never seen before. Now it's stuck showing them the same things again, just with better lighting and more fan service. And let's not pretend the audience hasn't changed too. Fans are more fractured than ever, half craving something bold and new, half terrified of change. It's a no-win situation. If a story tries to innovate, it's accused of betraying the real Star Wars. If it stays safe, it's accused of being lifeless and corporate. It's the paradox of modern fandom, and Star Wars is the biggest casualty of it. The result is a galaxy paralysed by its own legacy. Every new story carries the weight of 40 years of expectations. Every creative decision has to balance toy sales, nostalgia, and a fan base that's both starving for originality and terrified of it. The original trilogy didn't have to deal with that. It was the originality. Now everything that follows is haunted by it. Look at the reaction to shows like Kenobi or The Book of Boba Fett. People were excited to see these legends return. But by the end, many felt more tired than thrilled. The magic was gone, replaced by a checklist of familiar faces and predictable beats. It's not that the stories were awful, it's that they felt unnecessary. The best Star Wars used to add something to the mythos. Now it just rearranges the same pieces. That's why The Mandalorian hit so hard in the beginning. It didn't feel like anything we'd seen before. It was smaller, personal, and beautifully simple. A gunslinger and a baby against the galaxy. But even that formula eventually cracked under the pressure of expansion. By season 3, it wasn't just a Mandalorian story, it was a platform for setting up spin-offs, cameos and crossovers. The heart got buried under brand management. To understand how Star Wars ended up here, you have to look at how its magic worked in the first place. The original trilogy wasn't perfect, it was scrappy, weird and full of risk. But that's exactly what made it special. It wasn't afraid to fail. George Lucas built something personal, not something polished. It was his vision, messy and beautiful. And audiences felt that Star Wars wasn't designed to sell subscriptions. It was designed to make you dream. The prequels, for all their flaws, still had that spirit. They were ambitious, experimental, and deeply political. They weren't made by committee. They were made by conviction. Lucas swung for the fences, and even when he missed big. That's what made it art. Compare that to the Disney era, where every project feels like it was engineered by a focus group. Nothing risks failure, so nothing risks greatness either. The problem is, the people running Star Wars today don't seem to know what kind of story they're telling. One day it's space westerns, the next it's war drama, then it's mystical Jedi lore, then it's Saturday morning adventure. Again, there's no tonal identity, just a corporate promise that something for everyone will somehow please everyone. Spoiler, it doesn't. The creative turnover hasn't helped either. Directors come and go, scripts get rewritten, trilogies get cancelled, and the roadmap changes more often than hyperspace lanes. It's impossible to build momentum when every few months the leadership announces a new direction for the galaxy. At this point, the only constant in Star Wars is uncertainty. Andor proved that Star Wars could still surprise us, but that shouldn't be the exception, it should be the standard. That show had no Jedi, no Skywalkers, and barely any nostalgia. And it was brilliant. It reminded us that Star Wars doesn't need to be big to feel epic. It just needs purpose. When every other show feels like a toy commercial, Andor feels like cinema. Then there's the movie side. What even is Star Wars cinema anymore? The sequel trilogy tried to blend nostalgia with novelty, and ended up pleasing no one. Rogue One succeeded by being bold and self-contained, but even that story keeps getting mined for spin-offs instead of inspiration. The next film slate has been reshuffled so many times that most fans have stopped keeping track. The galaxy feels leaderless, both in-universe and out. And maybe that's the most ironic thing of all. Star Wars is a story about hope, but the people running it don't seem to believe in it anymore. They believe in algorithms, crossovers, and quarterly growth, but not in risk or wonder or imagination. The Force has been replaced by focus testing. You can feel it in the storytelling too. Scenes drag, tension fizzles, and dialogue feels like exposition for the next episode instead of emotion for this one. The shows aren't bad, they're just empty. Competent, professional, but soulless. It's like watching a droid recite poetry. It says all the right words, but you know no one's really feeling them. And it's not too late to fix that. Star Wars doesn't need another reboot, it needs rediscovery. It needs creators who love why Star Wars exists, not just what it sells. It needs people who understand that a galaxy far, far away only matters if it still feels alive. Until that happens, the Force isn't gone. It's just asleep. And someone, somewhere needs to wake it up again. So what would it actually take to bring Star Wars back to life? Not just commercially, but creatively. Because the truth is, Star Wars has never been about explosions or lightsabers. It's been about heart, about myth and meaning. And right now, the franchise has plenty of noise, but not enough soul. The solution isn't more content, it's less. Star Wars needs to slow down. The galaxy has become oversaturated, and fans don't miss something if they never have a chance to. When everything's special, nothing feels special. The MCU fell into that trap, and now Star Wars is heading the same way. Absence doesn't just make the heart grow fonder, it makes the return feel legendary. The second fix is creative leadership. Someone who understands the mythology and the madness in equal measure. George Lucas was both a dreamer and a control freak, and that balance worked. The franchise needs a storyteller, not a brand manager. Someone who isn't afraid to make half the audience angry if it means making the story unforgettable. And let's be honest, The galaxy needs to move forward, not backward. The High Republic, the Old Republic, the unknown regions, all of those settings are begging for attention. Let the Skywalkers rest, and let the universe breathe again. The Force is supposed to be infinite, so why does it feel like we're stuck in the same 12 square miles of Tatooine? What makes Andor, Rogue One, or even parts of The Mandalorian work is focus. They pick a tone, they pick a theme, and they stick to it. Not every story needs to change the galaxy. Some just need to show a corner of it we've never seen before. Star Wars isn't small when it's intimate, it's human. The other key is letting Star Wars be weird again. Remember when the franchise was full of mystery, strange aliens, spiritual ideas, and lore that didn't have to be explained? The more Star Wars tries to connect the dots, the less magical it becomes. Not every question needs an answer. Some things are better left to the imagination. And finally, Star Wars needs to stop apologising for itself. Every new project feels like it's overcorrecting for the last one, as if the creators are terrified of fan backlash before the story even begins. That's not art, it's damage control. Lucas didn't worry about Reddit threads, he worried about vision. That's what's missing now. The galaxy isn't beyond saving, it's just stuck in a loop. A cycle of repetition, nostalgia, and indecision. And breaking that cycle won't take a reboot. It'll take courage. The courage to tell stories that don't fit the mould. Because the future of Star Wars isn't about bringing back the past, it's about finally daring to move beyond it. And if the people running it remember that, maybe this galaxy can still find its way home.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that share button. My main channel is Critical Analysis Hub, where I post Star Wars content about the movies. My secondary channel is Critical Analysis Hub Plus, where I focus on the shows of Star Wars. And my third channel is Critical Analysis Hub XP, where I post comic books. Be sure to take a moment and check them out. Thanks, and may the Force be with you.